Kyle Busch blasted NASCAR after Sunday's Daytona 500, believing he was denied the opportunity to re-enter the race following the multi-car incident with 15 laps remaining. However, NASCAR hit back at him, dropping a bombshell in the process. So NASCAR fans, choose your side as this one gets messy. Busch believed he could have finished the race, but NASCAR parked him in compliance with its new damaged vehicle policy. "I don't know. I ain't seen a replay," an angry Busch told reporters after the race. "But we got beat by NASCAR procedures again, just not being able to get back out on the racetrack." Following the large collision, Busch's number 8 Chevrolet raced toward the inside wall of the track, striking at least a half-dozen drivers. However, he appeared to be avoiding the worst of the wear. Nonetheless, he was bound by the protocols he described. He explained, "I had 4 flat tires out there and we have these air jack systems in the car, mandatory by NASCAR. And the guy carries an empty air bottle to plug up to the car," Kyle Busch said. "So, couldn't plug it up so I could make my own return back to pit road. Said I just wanted a push. So, they decided for 3 laps to figure out how to hook it up to tow us back in. Towed us into a work area where our guys reviewed the car, looked over the car, didn't see anything massively wrong. All the wheels were pointed in the right direction. We put 4 new tires on it to go back out to basically see what the next process was going to be for us. And then was told that if you need to work on it and repair it, you've got to go back to that place. But if you go back to that place, they park you. So what are we supposed to do to continue to work on it now that we've got 4 new tires on it and all the wheels are pointed in the right direction?" Busch was generally frustrated. He had the chance to win his first Daytona 500 and end a career-long 58-race winless streak. His bid failed, and it was not his fault. But as for those processes, Hamlin believes Busch mixed them up. Elton made it clear that once you leave the damaged area in the garage and say, "Okay, we've got our car fixed," you better make speed at that point, Hamlin said. "If you start on pit road and run a lap and you think it's no good, if you got more time on the clock, you can come back to pit road, work on it. If not, you can take it back to the garage. Spend as much time as you need and work on it. But when you go back out, that's your attempt." So I think Kyle was just a little mixed up on the rules there. To me, it's pretty simple that when you go to the garage and you come back out, it has to be right. That's why they give you as much time as you need to fix it. Wacy for Hamlin to say as he almost won the race. But is he right? Or does Busch have a point here? To not let this controversy take away all the attention of what NASCAR calls entertaining race, the organization decided to respond quickly on all that happened. In the process of doing so, it completely blasted Busch with a bombshell statement. Elton Sawyer, NASCAR's senior vice president of competition, stated that the damaged vehicle policy incident involving Kyle Busch late in Sunday's Daytona 500 was a misunderstanding on his part. Busch, who was involved in the multi-car incident caused by Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with 15 laps remaining, believes he could have finished the race. NASCAR parked him in compliance with DVP. He took aim at NASCAR while speaking to media in the infield, accusing race control of failing to understand the new procedures. Sawyer, speaking on SiriusXM NASCAR radio, cleared up any confusion over the revised DVP. "I think it was a misunderstanding on Kyle's perspective," Sawyer said. "What we do on pit road as far as the damaged vehicle policy hasn't changed from 2024 other than we're giving an additional minute. It's now 7 minutes versus 6. But as far as what our fans and our competitors, what they witnessed last year in the past 5 or 6 years, the DVP policy looks the same on pit road with the adjustments that I mentioned. The one thing that we added this year is, at the scene of the incident, if you can't drive away, we would hook the vehicle and we would tow it to the garage. Once you go to the garage, you're going to get one opportunity to leave the garage and go on the racetrack. And this is not a new rule either. You get one opportunity at 3 consecutive green laps to meet minimum speed. Once you do that, you reset, and you're kind of back in the game." Sawyer reported that Busch's return to the garage for the second time resulted in his elimination from the event. In Kyle's case, he went out, left the garage, came back in, and once you do that, then you're going to be eliminated from the event, Sawyer said. The reason that this rule was put in place the way it is was that if we didn't have a way to basically have an end to the DVP part of it where you could reset, then what would happen is the competitors would go in the garage, work on the car a little bit, go back out, run one lap, come back in. They would do that multiple times, and that's just kind of circumventing the purpose of the rules. So, I think it was clearly just a misunderstanding. We had multiple meetings in the off-season with the teams and the drivers. Multiple drivers came by throughout the week and had questions about the policy and making sure that they were clear. It was unfortunate for Kyle and the RCR team because they had a really good car. What's your take on that? Legitimate DNF or just a crooked rule? However, that wasn't all Sawyer talked about, as the race was filled with controversy surrounding its ending, where an accident wasn't cautioned. Sawyer understands that NASCAR drivers and spectators are questioning why no caution flag was waved during the Daytona 500's penultimate lap. Sawyer revealed why no flag was thrown following an incident on the final lap. When you look at it holistically, and you look at it from a 30,000-foot view, our number one goal, and we've talked about this many times on the show, is to finish our races under green flag conditions, Sawyer said. That is what our fans pay for, and that's what our competitors want. That's what we want as a sanctioning body. That's to be able to take the checkered flag under green flag conditions, and the competitors racing as hard as they can. That is goal number one and will always be. There is cases, as we know, especially at superspeedway races. Once the white flag comes out, we are getting ready to pay points. We're getting ready to pay money, and the excitement and the aggressiveness, it picks up. The pushing and the shoving, trying to get in position to win at Daytona, it gets big. Elton Sawyer discusses the lack of a warning flag at the Daytona 500. Sawyer continued, "So we have to really be on our toes and credit to our race directors, because it's not an easy task for them. Again, goal number one is to try to get them back to the start-finish line. Goal number two is to make sure that if there is an incident, we can dispatch safety equipment as quickly as possible. In some cases, we can start doing that, depending on when the accident is. If it's behind the field or at the tail of the field, and we're not going to have to run the competitors through that incident, then we can start dispatching safety equipment." Denny Hamlin and Austin Cindric collided on the Daytona 500's penultimate lap. Both drivers were leading the field when the incident occurred, and William Byron won the race for the second year in a row. "It's a completely different situation where we've got people trying to race through an incident," Sawyer added. "We'll go back today as we always do, and we'll look at every race that we had this past weekend with our team in the tower, and we'll dissect it and look at it in conditions that are a lot easier to discuss today than as you're sitting there in the moment and we have chaos that's going on, and we're trying to make a very calculated decision, or the race directors are, in a split second. So, what's your take? Good decision from NASCAR or bad? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.